thank you all for coming. We're here to give you some more information, perhaps some more detail in regard to the investigation into the disappearance and murder of Karina Wolfe. There is a court appearance happening this morning via video, I understand. So we know that some of you have to get over for that, so we'll try to keep this moving along. Acting Staff Sergeant Tyson LaValle is here from Major Crime to go over some of the details of the investigation and what led us to what happened last week. And we have Karina's mom, Carol, here, who is going to say a few things this morning as well. And we're so fortunate that she was able to join us, and so pleased that, Carol, that you were able to come and be with us today. We will just lay out a few ground rules ahead of time. Carol wants to make a statement, and then she wants to leave. She won't be taking any questions. You certainly can ask questions of Tyson if you wish to. And we have obviously some supportive members of the service here, and those who take a special interest in the investigation here as well today. So at this time, I will ask Tyson to come forward. Tyson, do you want? And we'll just, if we can just wait until the end, until Carol's had her chance to say something and leave, and then you can ask your questions of Tyson at that time. Tyson.
Good morning. First off, I'd like to thank Carol and her family for coming this morning, and I want to express our condolences from our investigators. I'll be providing a timeline of events with regards to our investigation this morning. Our investigation is now before the courts, and we have to be respectful of that process, so I'm not going to be able to comment on all aspects of our investigation at this time. As you're all aware, on July 20th, 2010, Karina Wolfe, at the age of 20 years, was reported missing by her mother, Karina Wolfe. She was last seen on July 2nd, 2010 in the area of 20th Street and Avenue H. Since that time, police have actively investigated this file and have been in continuous contact with the Wolfe family through the assistance of our victim services and missing person liaison, and as well as our investigators. On the evening of November 10th, 2015, Jerry Constant voluntarily walked into the service center of the Saskatoon Police Service. Jerry provided investigators with a possible location of Karina Wolfe and provided police a story as to what happened to Karina. The next day, Jerry Constant was released from police custody and placed into the care of the Dubé Center, where he remained until his arrest. It's at this point that investigators began the process of confirming and corroborating Jerry Constant's claims. On November 11th, a potential search area was identified near Township Road 372 in the Airport Authority boundary, and an operational plan was developed to examine this area. The area itself is a marshy area, and we're talking about a 5-year time frame since Karina's disappearance. The conditions 5 years ago in the area were very wet. It was a high water year compared to this year, where it was very dry. And also the search area was about the size of a football field. On November 11th, the investigators, one of the key things that was going through the investigators' mind, was the weather conditions, and that the conditions around our search was going to be changing dramatically within a week period. And we also had to have considerations of land ownership as well as jurisdiction. The area itself is on the outskirts of Saskatoon, within the area of Corman Park. As a result of that, the Major Crime Unit, the Missing Persons Unit, sought the assistance of the Office of the Coroner, Forensic Anthropologist Dr. Ernie Walker, the RCP Cold Case Major Crime Unit, and the Corman Park Police Service to initiate our operational plan. Investigators began the search on November 12th, utilizing our Saskatoon Police Service Public Safety Unit search team and our Forensic Identification Unit at the direction of investigators and Dr. Walker. By November 14th, the remains of an Aboriginal female in her early 20s were located in the search area. The remains documented were removed for forensic examination. On November 18th, an autopsy was conducted, and the remains belong to an Aboriginal female between the ages of 20 and 22. And the remains themselves had not been present in that location longer than 5 years. During the autopsy, a DNA sample was extracted and sent to a certified private lab for comparison to a known sample provided by Karina Wolfe earlier in the investigation. On November 26, investigators received confirmation through DNA analysis that the remains located were those of Karina Wolfe. Missing Person Liaison and investigators notified Karina Wolfe and the family. And Jerry Franklin Constant, date of birth 1982, February 14th, was charged with unlawfully causing the death of Karina Wolfe, committing the offense of second-degree murder, and did improperly interfere with the human remains of Karina Wolfe, thereby committing the offense of an indignity to human remains. As previously stated, the accused will be appearing in court this morning. This male only recently became a person of interest in this investigation. And at this point in the investigation, there doesn't appear to be any prior relationship between Karina and the accused. Missing persons investigations like this do not get solved without the help of the community. We want to publicly thank all the persons who have come forward with information with regards to this investigation over the last 5.5 years. It's also important to remember that while Karina's story is coming to a conclusion, there are also still many other stories of other families looking for answers into the disappearance of their loved ones. We believe that there are still individuals that have information about this file and other disappearances and other unsolved homicides and other missing person investigations. And we continue to work on locating these people, encouraging them to come forward and sharing their information with the police. Any questions?
Thanks to Acting Staff Sergeant. At this time, we want to ask Carol to come forward. Those of you who haven't met Carol before should know that Carol is hearing impaired, so we will have the assistance of a translator this morning.
Hello, my name is Karina Wolfe. I am the mother of Karina Beth Ann Wolfe. Karina was my only daughter and sister to my 3 sons. Karina was a very beautiful young woman, talented artist, painter, and journalist. Karina was stolen from our family. But she was also denied the opportunity to achieve her goals and dreams. Karina was taken from our family too early in her journey of life. Our family is suffering with a heavy heart. We will never get to see her again. The last memory I have is Karina saying, "I love you, Mom, and I will be home later." Karina never got to come home. This is something that should never have happened. I am grateful that she was returned home so family can lay her to rest. I would like to say thank you to Chief Clive Wayhill, Detective Montgomery, Detective Tony Bonch, Detective Randy Huthman, Missing Persons Liaison Dorothea Swiftwolf, Victim Services, my loving auntie Josephine Longneck, my nephew Kelly Wolfe, FSIN Chief Kimberly Jonathan, Saskatoon Tribal Council, Chief Felix Thomas, Women Walking Together Myrna LaPlante, Darlene Okamayesum Siscott, Dr. Kelly Leach, all of the families of murdered and missing women, and many others.
We want to thank Carol and Carol's family, Carol's supporters for coming today. As Staff Sergeant LaValle mentioned, the investigation was brought to conclusion in part because of their support. So at this time, I know you have some questions. So Tyson can try to answer some of them if you want to come forward, Tyson. Sure. We'll do that.
Just to clarify, when you said that Jerry Constant walked in voluntarily and gave information, at that time did he confess to killing Karina Wolfe or simply suggest he knew where the remains were?
He provided the story as to what happened.
And what was his story as to how he encountered Karina Wolfe?
Again, that's because of this is before the courts. I think his story is best relayed through the court process.
But when you said they didn't have a relationship, does that mean that on, I believe, July 2nd, 2010 was the first time that the two of them had encountered each other?
That's our understanding.
And was he on your radar before you walked in? Whether related to this case or any case?
He was known to police. He has had a record.
Is there any relationship to the, I know you guys are searching for a gray vehicle in the intervening years. Was Mr. Constant involved in that gray vehicle at all, or is that completely separate from?
Don't believe so.
Did he give any explanation as to why that was the day he voluntarily came into police? What changed?
That I think is something that's we're gonna have to wait till it goes through the court process for that to be reviewed.
And you're taking the media to the site today. I think on Friday, Allison had said that it was to give the family an opportunity to go there before us. Can you just tell us what that was, what happened there?
I wasn't there present. I wasn't present myself, but I believe that the investigators and the family went to the site, and a brief ceremony was held.
Any other questions, anybody?
Just to be clear, he was charged on the 26th, not the 27th, which was Friday. His charges were pending on Friday morning, but then they came out. You know, when was he charged?
When was he charged? Friday?
Yeah.
Friday.
He was arrested the 26th.
Yes, that's correct.
Are you investigating Constant in relation to any other missing or murdered Aboriginal cases?
Not at this time.
When you say he was known to police, does they have a minor record or?
I don't think I'm in a position to discuss his record. I think a lot of that will come out through the court process.
Was he known to police before Karina went missing, or?
He has a history with the Saskatoon Police Service.
And you said that that information came to you on November 10th, but you didn't discover the remains until the 14th?
That's correct.
So he didn't lead you to the spot. What information did you have, and then why did it take 4 days to find the remains?
The area itself is quite expansive. Like I indicated, it's about the size of a football field, which, things have changed. Time has gone by since 2010. So we didn't have a direct location. We weren't taken to the remains. So it required a search by our service.
So he basically told you guys the area, he told you where she be found, but he didn't directly lead you guys there.
That's correct.
Do you have any indication as to how she died?
Again, that's a matter that will have to be explored. I'm not prepared to answer it right now.
Is it your understanding that her body, her remains, had been in that location since July 2010?
Yes.
Since the day she disappeared, since days following?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Liz. Okay, so as Bonnie mentioned and as we talked about last week, we will escort you to the site. I think what we were looking at was meeting up at kind of a marshalling place, making sure everybody's together, and then you can follow us out there. We're looking at 11:15 this morning. We will meet in the parking lot of the Saskatoon Inn, and then, as I said, we'll take you out there. We'll give you a little bit of time to get some shots of the surroundings there. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, I don't know if all of you got that, but there is a backgrounder, the releases that have been done on Karina's disappearance in the past, along with the recent information. So there are some at the back for those of you who may not have those. Thank you very much for coming. And let me just say right now that the media has been of great assistance in not just the Karina Wolfe disappearance, but in all missing person investigations. And we rely on you to help us get the word out and get people thinking about these cases. And so we are very appreciative of the help you've given us. So thank you again for coming, and we'll see you at 11:15.